Hi, my name's Hannah. This is my Draw My Life in accordance to my creative midterm, and I'm going to be making some points that go along with the Odyssey. This is just my family. I'm the youngest, my sibling, and Noah, and then my mom, and then my bio dad. Essentially, I want to relate how the war for Odysseus was kind of basically my childhood, which is kind of gruesome because war is a terrible, horrible thing, but that's how I feel about my childhood. Also, sorry about my cat, Clementine. I literally retook that so many times and she just would not leave me alone. Anyways, my bio dad was pretty abusive. That's why I say, like, when it comes to war, I think of my childhood. It's not that he was physically abusive, thank God, but it was a lot of mental abuse. And I think war is a lot of mental abuse. He's still not a nice person. I don't think he ever will be, but he was always really mean to my mom and myself and my sibling growing up. And a lot of my childhood was basically just surviving, trying to figure life out, by protecting yourself and not getting your feelings hurt. And that's something that's really hard for a small child to understand. I had to grow up really fast, basically. This leads into my high school years. Home wasn't exactly a great place because life started to get worse once I reached high school. We were homeschooled originally, and I think for some reason it wasn't as bad. I don't know why, but whenever we got into high school, things got bad. And I think a lot of it was because we were thrown into the public school system, my sibling and I, and we were homeschooled, but I made it. I graduated. I made it through. Noah graduated as well, but he graduated before me, and well, that's not relevant right now. But everybody came to my graduation, including my bio dad. This is kind of where I like to talk about the Lotus Eaters because of the drugs, because towards the end of my senior year, that's kind of what I was doing to live life and understand it. It was a lot of weed. Not gonna lie to you, but I did this with a lot of my friends who I'm gonna show here. The one that is most important is going to be the one right next to me, who I'm going to highlight here in a second. His name is Luke. He's kind of always been around for the longest time in my life, and especially through college, which I got accepted to IUP and I was super hype about. This is kind of where I like to say that this is in accordance with the Cyclops. Basically, life was just not the greatest in college. I did make a lot of friends, a lot of whom I'm still in contact with to this day, but we were bad hosts, essentially, to ourselves so much. I like to view myself as Odysseus and the Cyclops at this point in time because I was basically just I was just hurting myself, really, in all honesty, between smoking cigarettes even, weed, and then drinking. I was just hurting myself a lot. And I really wanted to stay, but I couldn't because of money. It just was not there for me, and I was doing all of this on my own. So I moved back home. I moved in with my sibling and their girlfriend and their two cats, which I'm going to terribly, terribly draw right now for you. I'm so sorry for this. They did have two birds too, but I can't draw that. Yeah, this is what you get. But essentially, this is kind of where things start to get a little bit better. And I like to say this is kind of when Odysseus is given the bag of wind, because I got Luke. And it seemed like everything was going to be great. I was in this happy relationship. I finally got the man of my dreams, which I thought he was, I felt like I was going to finally belong somewhere and finally have a home that I would feel safe in, which I think is what Odysseus wanted this whole time. But I ended up not being happy, and neither did Luke. I think this is kind of when Telepylos and the Lystrogians smashed all the 11 ships, because that's kind of what it felt like. Everything was being destroyed at this point in time, but I felt like I was doing everything right. But I wasn't happy, and Luke wasn't happy either. This is kind of where I felt like life was too good, and it was, because it wasn't real, because Luke was addicted to some painkillers. We'll just leave it at that, essentially. And it wasn't great. But the main part of this story, or this main point to this part is I used to be a life touch photographer. I used to take high school yearbooks for kids, and this was me doing it. And one day at work, I got a text from Luke because we were fighting pretty bad that week. And the text pretty much just said, I'm so sorry for this. My stomach hit the floor. I felt like I was going to puke because he was gone. And I got that later on in a call confirmation. And I wanted to visit the land of the dead eventually, just the way Odysseus did. I wish I had that opportunity to talk to him still to this day. But basically, I was super sad, super depressed, which I feel like, Odysseus felt like at that time. And I was staying at my mom's because I was sad, which is actually my stepdad Steve's. And I ended up moving back in with them just because I didn't know what else to do. This was a really painful point in my life, and it was basically, go visit the land of dead yourself or move on. So it was basically like a Scylla and a Charybdis type of thing. I ended up moving on, and I got a pretty good career in leasing. I was a leasing consultant, but I wasn't happy with the outcome, which I don't think Odysseus was happy with his outcome of his choice, but he didn't have a choice, and neither did I. So sorry. But essentially, I spent a few years here, kind of like Odysseus did on Calypso's island. I wasn't happy, though. Neither was Odysseus. I hated myself. I never thought I'd achieve my dreams, and I don't think he ever thought he'd achieve his dreams of ever going home. But, we decided to kind of leave our situation when my grandma needed help, and Odysseus was able to leave and go to the island of the Phaeacians where Nausicaa is. And it's kind of the same, like we had to tread water, and it was hard to get here, but we got here. But anyways, I was able to go back to school because my grandma was like, yeah, if you're going to help me go back to school, I want you to achieve your dreams type of thing, which was awesome. So I moved in with her. Quit my job, moved in with her. It was awesome. Sorry for writing August. I didn't mean to do that. Anyways, I got into school spring 2022. I made Dean's List. It was amazing. This whole time, by the way, my parents are moving to New Mexico. My stepdad has already been there for a couple months while I was in the spring semester. And then May came around. My mom was like, it's time for me to go to New Mexico, which really, really sucked. And I think this is kind of the travel that Odysseus takes to Ithaca. We drove literally the whole entire way from Pennsylvania to New Mexico with my mom's 2 cats, and it was insane. It was a wild drive, but it was so much fun. I spent like 3 weeks in New Mexico because why not? I didn't have any obligations. But anyways, I got back, and something wasn't right, essentially. My gram wasn't doing the greatest. She kind of went downhill pretty fast after I came back. And this is kind of where I feel like I lost it. And I think this kind of comes to the point where, because my grandmother passes away here literally the second weekend of the semester. But, Odysseus, he loses his crap and kills all the suitors and stuff like that, and he's killing, I like to say the beggars are basically his demons that he's killing, and that's kind of what it felt like I was doing this whole time. But now we're down to fall here, and I got a job and working for IUP at Marcom, which is amazing. I started dating somebody for the first time in 4 years, and life is really good. It's really great, and I made it home. I made it to the end. The world is clean for me. My life is clean, and I'm happy, and I'm glad I'm here. Just like Odysseus.